right, so it's it's this crazy story, right? This incident. I just need you to follow me through the story. I don't want to just say who it's about, cause then But check it out. Check it. Like it was this one time when me and 88 we went out to this event. This Usher versus Trey Songz event. You know what I mean? With old boy. That I used to be cool with, Buddy Lee. He was DJing, right? He was DJing the Usher versus Trey Songz. You could look this up online, you know what I mean? So, me and 88, we went, picked her up, you know what I mean? And we was gonna meet up with my homegirl that I've been following on TikTok, Lex Too Cute. She from Dallas too. She was meeting us there, so anyway, me and 88 arrived to the venue. We get in, you know what I mean? Old boy, like I said, Buddy, he's DJing. This is Usher versus Trey Songz event, so nothing but Usher and Trey Songz tunes all night, playing back and forth. So me and 88 chilling at the event, enjoying the music. Mysterious comes in, you know what I mean? And she with this dude, tall, dark-skinned nigga. She introduced him, and Mysterious introduced this dude she was with, his name was Trap. She said he was from Atlanta or whatever. Now, off top, I thought he was like a weirdo because, most niggas from Atlanta is weird. You look at, Young Thug, you look at Yachty, you know what I mean? So I just thought this Trap nigga was a weirdo, you know what I mean? But, I kept my thoughts to myself, whatever. So, Mysterious said this was her new man and, he was in town on business, yada, 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 whatever. Alright, so Mysterious and, the dude Trap, they doing their thing. Me and 88 doing our thing. My homegirl Lex, who goes by Lex Too Cute on TikTok, she shows up. I introduced, Lex to 88, you know what I mean? So we've all been listening to the music. As the night go on, I get a text from 88's pops, Farrago. Texted me, let me know he wants to meet with me in the morning. He wanna, talk to me about something important in the morning. Alright, cool. So as the night go on, 88 and Lex, they start, twerking and dancing, doing what girls do. How girls dancing on each other, even though 88's not into girls. What girls do, they dancing and rubbing on each other, dancing, twerking, shit like that. Alright, so as the night comes to an end for us, that event, we hop in a Lambo, speeding down the highway, top down, you know what I'm saying? Both of them, still touching and feeling on each other, vibing to the music in the car. We stop at a soul food spot, cause 88 loves soul food, so, we stop, we order shrimp, lobster, crab legs, the works. So from there, we head over to my condo, you know what I mean? And chilling in the condo, music, playing. Drinks is flowing for the ladies, cause I don't drink. So, hopped in the shower real quick, came out, you know what I mean? Then Lex, went and hopped in the shower. Me and 88, chilling, you know what I mean? And then, 88 get to touching and feeling on me, kissing on me. Then Lex comes out the shower. And then 88 goes in the shower. So me and Lex, she started kissing and feeling on me. The 88 come out and was like, oh, let me find out you're trying to get the party started without me. So, like I said, 88's not into girls, so they ain't touch each other, but they was all on me, so, one thing led to another, the three of us got it popping, nah, man. Boom. Get up the next morning, I hop in the shower, get dressed, cause I have to have the meeting with Farrago, 88's pops. So 88 and Lex, they still in the bed and they can sleep, so I just let them sleep. I text both their phones at the same time, letting them know, y'all stepping out, I'll be back. Boom, I head over to Farrago's nightclub, I head over there, it's daytimes, afternoon, go inside, head to the back, of course the club was closed, but he wanted to meet, there in his office, so I go in the back in his office, sit down. He started telling me, hey, since Duke Farrell moved to Florida, he wanted me to step up, and take over, I basically pick up where Duke Fowler left off, you know what I mean? Because he said, that, he liked how I move, he liked how I conduct business, and he felt like I was more mature than SD, you know what I mean? He said SD, he was like, he got love for SD, but SD's not really mature enough to handle what Duke was handling. He was like, so since Duke ain't around, Tony, I want you to step up. Alright, cool. So he said, I got a big shipment coming in. You know what I mean? And he was like, I need you to, pick up this shipment because I got a celebrity client that's gonna be coming in. You know what I mean? Whatever, whatever. So the whole time I'm talking to Farrago, 88 texted me, asked me, told me her and Lex want to have a pool party. Is it okay that they look up some Airbnbs or whatever? So I text him back, while I'm talking to Farrago, like, yeah, order the Airbnbs and, swipe my credit card for whatever, whatever. Alright, so, like a long story short, Farrago, like, yeah, I need you to pick up this shipment. I need you to meet up with this dude to pick up this shipment. You drop the money off, all that. He was like, but you can't take his cell phone. He was like, no cell phones. He was like, we don't do that cell phone shit. Leave your cell phone at home. Do what you gotta do, but don't bring your cell phone. So I'm like, well, I don't know this nigga. I was like, how I'ma know who it is? He says, funny you should say that. You say that. He opens up his drawer. He pulls out a Dallas Cowboy football jersey. He said, you're gonna wear this jersey. The guy you meeting, he's gonna be wearing this same jersey, Dallas Cowboy jersey, same number, same name on the back. I think it was an Emmitt Smith jersey. He was like, same number, same jersey, same color. He was like, this guy gonna have on the same jersey. That way y'all know who y'all are, cause you're not supposed to bring your phone. He's not gonna bring his. You know what I mean? Alright, cool. So, later on that night, I go to the spot to pick up, the work, drop the money off. I'm there with my jersey on, so I'm looking around to see, and I see somebody with the jersey. As I look, I'm like, oh shit, that's the trap nigga from the night before with Mysterious. I'm like, okay. So, we all, so I'm like, so-and-so, he was there to do the drop-off. And it was kind of funny how, Mysterious said he was in on business, but okay, cool. Alright, so I get the duffel bag of money to Trap. He hands me the keys to the U-Haul van with the work. It's mostly like ecstasy pills, weed, little bit of coke. Alright, cool. So I give Trap the bag of money. He gives me the keys to the van. I get about the spot. So me back up with Farrago. He like, okay. He was like, I got a celebrity client that's gonna be coming in. He said, I'm gonna text you when it's time to make the drop off. You know what I mean? To get that money or whatever, whatever. Alright, cool. So 88 texted me and said they wanted to have the pool party, I think on a Saturday, but it was the same Saturday where I have to make the delivery. Alright, no biggie, cool. So, come around to that weekend. It's the Saturday where I not only gotta make that delivery for Farrago for the celebrity client, but it's the pool party, so no biggie. So we having the pool party on Saturday. Like I said, it's 80, 88, and Lex Too Cute. They throwing the pool party together. And when we invited everybody, I even invited DJ Bay. DJ Bay is another homegirl of mine from TikTok. She's a DJ. DJ Bay, look her up. So DJ Bay is DJing the event. Everybody's there, SD, Big Baby. This is before 88. A Big Baby was beefing. This before Big Baby chose sides and was rolling with Jackie. Big Baby was there. Everybody was at the party. 88, was playing that game. I don't know. That game where you put somebody in a chair and tilt it like to the pool, and they gotta guess song lyrics, and if they can't guess it, you let them go. They was playing that game. You can look this up online. You know what I mean? It's footage of it. 88, Big Baby, and a few of the girls was playing that game, and Big Baby broke the chair. The chair broke, and we all was dying laughing. That was the funniest shit, you know what I mean? Big Baby was trying to throw SD in the pool. Like I said, it's footage of some of the pool party early in the day, and the shit really got live at night when everybody came through, you know what I mean? So, Mysterious come through, and, I greeted Mysterious, and, 88, I guess asked her, where her man was, the dude Trap that she was with at the, Trey Songz Usher party. She was like, well, he had to, leave town, you know what I mean? He had some business to take care of. Now, I ain't tell her that, that me and Trap, did that transaction because, we keep people out of our business, you know what I mean? My business, his business, his business, you know what I mean? So, so I ain't, but she said that Trap was, he had to leave town, you know what I mean, on business. So I assume, he must have, had to take that money to his boss or whatever, you know what I mean? So we chilling at the party and shit. I get a text from Farago, texting me the address, told me, yo, go make that drop off. You know what I mean? Drop off that work, get that money from that celebrity client. So I'm like, oh shit. So I walk up to Biggest. Biggest was at the party too. I said, yo, Biggest, you Shrap? He said, yeah, I'm Shrap. I said, yo, roll with me. I gotta go home. Make this play. I got this celebrity client. Farago want me to go over there and make this play. He know who Farago is. He know Farago's 88's pops. Farago's the boss. We basically all work for him. So alright, we hop in the Lambo, me and Biggest, you know what I mean? He's Shrap, I'm Shrap. We like, fuck it. So hit the highway, you know what I mean? Drive it in the Lambo. We get to the house, big ass mansion, you know what I mean? So we still don't know who the celebrity is, you know what I mean? Farago, only thing Farago said was like, yo, these celebrities, they be into all kinds of shit, so try not to judge. And, he said, this is why I'm letting you do it, because you're more mature. He was like, but, he was like, no judging. Just do what you gotta do, get the money, get out of there. Alright, cool. So we get to the house, big ass mansion. we ring, we ring the gate bell. They let us in, we told them who we was there to see, whatever name they gave us. I forgot what name they gave us. So we get in there, we get in the party. And of course, it's funny shit, it's a lot of, I just say rainbow activity, you know what I mean? A lot of, guys dressed as women and, what I mean? A lot of, but there was no women in the spot, it's all men. So I'm like, so me and Biggest looking at each other like, I'm like, so we asked, the guy, for such and such. He was like, oh, hold on. He was like, he's over here. So when we go over there, some tall motherfucker with a wig on and a dress comes walking up. And as he got closer, I noticed it was Dwight Howard. I'm like, oh shit. Me and Biggest looked at each other. And then that's when all the shit confirmed to me what his baby moms was saying about him on Vlad TV, about him having parties and, all the rumors about Dwight Howard, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh shit. It's Dwight Howard, you know what I mean? But I ain't, I'm saying it in my head. I'm not saying it out loud. So I'm like, alright. So Dwight Howard come up and be like, hey fellas. He was like, y'all here for the, whatever. We're like, yeah, we here to, to make the delivery. So, give him the work, which was a lot of, like, ecstasy pills, a little bit of weed, coke. He give us, like, a big envelope full of money. So we like, alright, I checked it, made sure all the money was there. You know what I mean? We was like, alright, fellas. And then Dwight Howard told me and Biggest, he was like, y'all sure, y'all don't want to stay party. Me and Biggest was like, nah, we sure, we out, my nigga. He was like, alright. So Dwight Howard walks off, with the wig and the dress on and shit. I just shook my head like, alright. So as me and Biggest is walking out, I see another nigga with a bonnet on, no shirt, dancing. And then when the nigga turned around, it's motherfucking Trap. I said, whoa. I said, what the fuck? And then, Trap had a shocked face, like he had a shocked look on his face. I'm like, yo, what the fuck you doing, my nigga? And then the nigga said, oh, Tony. And then Biggest looking at me like, yo, how the fuck you know this nigga? I was so shocked I couldn't even answer Biggest. I'm like, yo, my nigga, like, what's really good with you? He was like, nah, man, I'm just, it's a joke. I'm just playing around. I'm like, it's just a joke. You're like, yeah, it's just a joke. I'm like, yeah. I was like, I'd be sure to let Mysterious know about that joke. She at the pool party, you know what I mean? Because she did tell me that you was out of town and, was busy. you know what I mean, handling business, but I be sure to let him know. And I walk past Big as, walk behind me. So the whole time Trap is yelling like, yo, man, it's just a joke, man. He was like, yo, man, keep it on the low, my nigga. He was like, keep it on the low. I ain't even look back. I just kept walking. Me and Biggest get in the car. So I explained to Biggest like, yo, man, that's the nigga, that I did the drop off for to get the work in, you know what I mean? He's also mysterious, man, because she introduced him to us at the Trey Songz Usher shit. And he just started shaking his head. I'm like, yo, this shit is crazy. So anyway, I skirt off. I'm driving. 88, calling me, telling me to pick up some cigarettes. I'm like, yeah, I was so in shock that I'm just like, yeah, I think I forgot to get the cigarettes. So we get back to the pool party. We didn't even tell Mysterious, what we just saw. We were just like, man, listen. So anyway, I meet back up with Farago. I give him the money and told him that, the trap zoo that I picked the work up from was the same nigga that I seen at the white party. He just shook his head. It was like, hey man, that's the Atlanta niggas. And this is what's crazy. The footage that Jackie had on her page of this nigga, cause remember this nigga got exposed. If y'all go look it up, remember the footage is footage of Trap dancing with a bonnet on and no shirt. You know what I mean? That footage came out. That's because he was messing with some this politician named Andrew Gillum. Andrew Gillum. Gillum. I think his name was Andrew Gillum from Florida. Look it up. It was a big thing. That's why that footage of Trap dancing with the fucking bonnet on and no shirt. That was at a party that Andrew Gillum was at. You know what I mean? Because he was messing with Andrew Gillum, and that's when Farago called me. It was like, yo, you see this shit, right? This dude Trap is all over the news. You know what I mean? For messing with Andrew Gillum and that tape of him did it. You know what I mean? And we laughed, and then that's when Farago was like, well, I guess Trap is no longer trapped in the closet, you know what I'm saying?